Coming up today, following days of torrential rain, North Korea discharges water from a dam near the inter-Korean border without notice, prompting South Korea to evacuate residents along the border. Another busy day at the National Assembly. The ruling and minor opposition parties are on the lookout for new leaders, but a ruling party heavyweight rules himself out of the running. Plus, Hillary Clinton will not face criminal charges for using her private email to discuss top-secret information. The FBI concludes there was no willful breaking of the law. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Wednesday, the 6th of July. You're tuned into our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. Our top story this afternoon, following the heavy rain over the past couple of days, North Korea has discharged water without warning from one of its main dams. The release affects the south as the Hwanggang Dam straddles a river that runs through both Koreas. We connect with our Gwon-swa for the details. So, any word yet on why North Korea didn't notify the South about its plans?
Well, Mark, Seoul's defense ministry says that it doesn't see North Korea's release of water as a flooding attack, but as means of controlling their water levels. And Seoul's unification ministry spokesperson said during a briefing that further investigation is needed at this point. But he did comment on the North's violation of their promise to notify South Korea beforehand.
If North Korea is sincerely interested in dialogue, peace, and the improvement of inter-Korean relations, then it would abide by even small points of cooperation like these.
Now, back to what happened earlier. Around 6 a.m. this morning, North Korea began to discharge water from its Hwanggang Dam. By around 7:20 a.m., the Korea Water Resources Corporation was informed, and evacuation alerts have been issued in 15 locations around the area, including Yongcheon. Now, no damage has been reported as of now. Now, experts say there is not much of a threat as the water level is not too high, but authorities remain on alert. Now, South Korea's presidential office of Cheongwade said all related ministries are closely watching the situation. Mark.
And so we must say that this is not the first time North Korea has discharged water without prior warning, and this can have extremely serious and even deadly consequences for people on the southern side of the border.
That's right, Mark. While North Korea is within its rights to open the dam to release some pressure, Pyongyang broke the rules by not notifying the South of its plans. Now, back in 2009, it had promised to notify the South before discharging water after 6 South Koreans at the Imjingang River were killed due to a sudden release of water. Now, North Korea has only gave warnings 3 times in the last 8 years. Hwanggang Dam is located on the mainstream of Imjingang River, around 42 kilometers north of the military demarcation line, with roughly 300 to 400 million tons of water backed up. The dam is around 56 kilometers away from South Korea's Kunnam Dam, and the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport says the released water is expected to reach Kunnam Dam in the afternoon. And I'll have more updates on that later in the day. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Soa, for that report. Now, the heavy downpours that drenched much of Korea's central region on Tuesday calmed to a light sprinkle overnight. But there's more rain on the way for other parts of the country on this Wednesday. The seasonal monsoon front is now pounding down on the southern provinces, dumping 20 millimeters of rain an hour on the area, with some bursts of thunder as well, but the rain is expected to ease up as it moves northward overnight. Korea's weather agency has issued a heavy rain warning for parts of Chungcheong-do province and Jeollabuk-do province, with thunderstorms in some places there as well. People in the area are urged to take the necessary precautions. Let's hear what a weather forecaster has to say.
The rain will temporarily die down as it advances north, but there will be scattered showers due to atmospheric instability.
However, With typhoon Nepatak approaching the Korean peninsula, we're not quite out of the woods yet. The typhoon is expected to strike Okinawa, Japan on Thursday. Then it's going to sweep through Taiwan and southeast China. It is not expected to directly hit Korea, but we will feel its effects on Saturday as it brings more rain over the weekend. Now, while we're on the topic of Mother Nature, the southeastern part of Korea was shaken Tuesday evening by the fifth most powerful earthquake to ever hit the Korean peninsula. Experts are divided on whether the 5.0 magnitude quake could be a forewarning of something bigger. Hwang Ho-jun reports.
The quake detection frequency in Korea has been increasing ever since the Great East Japan earthquake in 2011. In February of 2012, a series of 4 earthquakes struck off the coast of Ulsan, the same area where Tuesday's earthquake hit. Some experts say the quake can be traced to the Tsushima-Goto fault that sits below the East Sea.
It's a fault highly active with big and small tremors, so it wouldn't be unusual to see a bigger earthquake take place.
However, the Korea Institute of Geoscience and Mineral Resources begs to differ. The institute says Tuesday's quake was caused by a strike-slip fault, a fault where the surfaces of the plates are displaced mainly in a horizontal direction, which is different from the Tsushima-Goto fault. It also says that, since this isn't the first time tremors have been detected in that area, it shouldn't be considered overly peculiar or worrisome. The head of the Institute's Earthquake Research Center says the possibility of an earthquake stronger than magnitude 5.5 hitting Korea is very low because fault lines near the peninsula are not interconnected. He also stressed that the Korean peninsula is not located within the so-called Ring of Fire, so it's relatively safe from catastrophic earthquakes. Hwang Ho-jun, Arirang News.
Now, the South Korean military will install twice as many loudspeakers at the inter-Korean border by the end of this year. This as part of efforts to curb North Korea's continual provocations. Oh Jung-hee reports.
South Korea is stepping up its psychological warfare against its northern neighbor to counter North Korea's nuclear threats and missile provocations. According to Seoul-based Yonhap News Agency, the South Korean military plans to double the number of loudspeakers at the inter-Korean border by the end of this year. There are currently about 15 loudspeakers operating at the fortified border, 11 fixed and 5 to 6 movable ones, with a range of 10 kilometers. Military officials say the loudspeaker broadcast will be longer than in the past and contain harsher criticisms of Kim Jong-un than before. The volume will also be designed to counter and drown out North Korea's propaganda broadcast. The loudspeaker broadcasts have long been a tool for South Korea's psychological warfare against Pyongyang, and the North Korean leadership has shown sensitive reactions to them in the past. The broadcasts contain messages that reveal truths about the North Korean regime the North Korean people may not know. The South Korean military has said the criticisms of the regime and messages about South Korea's democracy, in addition to the sets of pop music, could lead North Korean soldiers or residents to question the regime. Oh Jung-hee, Arirang News.
Now, over at the National Assembly, South Korea's rival parties are busy getting their houses in order, including a shake-up of their respective leaderships. Lawmakers from the ruling Saenuri Party will hold a general members' meeting this afternoon, where they will discuss ways to reform their current one-man leadership system. Ahead of the meeting, former Finance Minister Choi Kyung-hwan, now a ruling party lawmaker, said he will not run for a leadership position at the party convention scheduled for early August. Che, a member of President Park's faction, said he hoped his decision would help bring an end to the party's ongoing factional feud. The minor opposition People's Party, left rudderless by the joint resignation of its co-leaders, has unveiled its emergency committee that will take control of party affairs. Lawmakers will also finalise 7 new parliamentary committees during a plenary session. They include committees on tackling Korea's low birth rate, improving inter-Korean relations and handling preparations for the 2018 Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang. South Korea's finance minister has pledged to actively counter economic crises through steady financing if external risks become a reality. Speaking at a financial strategy meeting on Wednesday, Yoo Il-ho said there are growing number of cases like the Brexit situation, as well as North Korean provocations, which negatively affect both the domestic and global economy. He said the South Korean government must take steps to expand its financial base and increase investment efficiency. Officials also discussed measures to stabilize government finances and agreed to draft and submit a legislative proposal to the National Assembly. Hillary Clinton will not face charges for using her private email to discuss top-secret information while Secretary of State. The FBI's announcement is likely to give the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee a campaign boost in the race to the White House. Park Jung-hong has the details.
In wrapping up its year-long investigation, the FBI essentially said Hillary Clinton should not be prosecuted for her controversial use of government email. FBI Director James Comey said the recommendation of no criminal charges will be delivered to the Justice Department. While the Bureau had found evidence of careless handling of emails by Clinton, Comey said the investigation concluded that, quote, no reasonable prosecutor would bring charges against the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee.
We cannot find a case that would support bringing criminal charges on these facts.
Reacting to the announcement on Twitter, her Republican rival Donald Trump said Clinton had compromised U.S. national security and claimed the system was, quote, rigged. Trump has consistently slammed Clinton over the scandal, saying the probe should disqualify her from being president. But experts say the FBI announcement has provided the Clinton campaign with a second wind. That boost seemed to gain more momentum at a rally in North Carolina on Tuesday, where President Barack Obama joined Clinton on the campaign trail. Obama said there has never been any man or woman more qualified for the office than Hillary Clinton. Park Jung-hong, Arirang News.
Now, the UK is still pretty much reeling from the aftermath of Brexit, but British Interior Minister Theresa May has won big in the first ballot of Conservative Party MPs to select their candidate for Britain's next Prime Minister. She has an overwhelming lead of 165 to 66 over her nearest rival, Andrea Leadsom, a junior energy minister. The result increases the chance that Britain will be ushering in its second female Prime Minister in its history, following Margaret Thatcher. The vote comes in the wake of the EU referendum and its subsequent impact on property investors and the British pound. Latest figures show sterling has hit a 31-year low, and 3 funds investing in British property said they were suspending trading, citing a swarm of people rushing to withdraw their money. Global stocks dipped on Tuesday amid fresh concerns over Britain's decision to leave the European Union. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 109 points, or 0.6%, to 17,840. The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq lost 0.7% and 0.8% respectively. In Europe, stocks there opened lower, with Germany's DAX 30 dropping 0.9% and France's CAC 40 retreating 0.75% during morning trade. London's FTSE 100 picked up 0.4% after the Bank of England hinted at fresh stimulus moves. The death toll from last weekend's suicide bombing in Baghdad has risen to 250, injuring more than 200 others. Sunday's attack is now the single deadliest terror strike since the US invasion of that country 13 years ago. The Islamic State militant group has claimed responsibility for the truck bombing, which struck in the city's central Karada district. Heavily criticized for failing to prevent the attack, Iraq's Interior Minister submitted his resignation on Tuesday, but it has yet to be accepted. Iraq has significantly upped security in Baghdad since the attack, as the people there continue to mark a period of national mourning. Korea is planning to shut down 10 aging coal-fired thermal power plants as part of efforts to address climate change and reduce ultra-fine dust levels. According to the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy on Wednesday, 8 power plants will be shut down gradually over the next 10 years, and 2 will change their power generation source from coal to biomass by 2017. All are over 30 years old and nearing the end of their lifespan. Power plants that are around 20 years old will undergo partial reconstructions to enhance efficiency and reduce emissions. Coal-fired power plants that are currently under construction will face stricter emission standards as well. Experts expect the measures will help reduce fine dust levels by 24% by 2030 from the levels seen in 2015. Hyundai Motor and its affiliate Kia Motors saw their sales nearly quadruple in Mexico in the first half of this year from a year ago. According to data compiled by the Mexican Automotive Industry Association, the two automakers sold a combined 40,264 units in Mexico in the first 6 months of 2016, compared with just over 11,000 the previous year. The jump in sales is largely due to Kia, which has shown a strong performance since entering the Mexican market last July. Kia accounted for 3.3% of the market, taking 9th place. Hyundai sales jumped over 52% on year, making up 2.3% of the Mexican market. Well, that's all we have for now. I'm Mark Broom. Have a great day. Goodbye.